morning. As you can see here on radar, we do have more pink and also some green. Green is rain. That means we are looking at temperatures above freezing, so as the liquid falls from the sky, it stays as rain to the surface. We are looking at, though, pockets of freezing rain where you see the pink color. That, of course, is still falling as rain, but it's touching surfaces that are at or below freezing and turning to some ice. So we are looking at a bit of freezing rain right now in parts of Washtenaw County, Wayne County, up towards Livingston County at this moment. So as you can see here, again, first looking at this line moving in from the southwest, moving to the northeast. So overall, we are concerned a bit about some freezing rain this morning. Not too concerned for most of us about ice accumulation that could lead to down trees and down power lines. For most of us, the problem is that we're getting the freezing rain right during the morning commute with a lot of people out on the roadways. This will be just enough potential ice that can create some slippery driving conditions. Also, if you're walking your kids to school or just even walking out your door, be prepared for some slippery conditions down your porch or down your deck, what have you. We do have a winter weather advisory, though, in place for freezing rain for one county here in southeast Michigan. I want to take a look at that. Let me see if I can get that up, because I might not have been able to put everything up all the way, but I guess not. So what you're going to see here, though, instead is going to be some radar. As you can see, we do have rain showers moving through. This does say, what was I going to say? This is moving through as we speak. We are looking at rain showers continuing to move in from the southwest, moving to the northeast, and we are going to be looking at just light amounts overall, but it will be enough to create some slippery driving conditions across the area, as you can see here. All right, I'm going to pause things at this moment, and we're going to backtrack and take a look at current temperatures here through southeast Michigan. So we do have a wide range of temperatures in the fact that some of us are above freezing, some of us are below freezing. So I guess the range isn't that wide, but we are looking at 34 right now in the city of Detroit, which would favor just rain, which is good to see. But Pontiac, for example, 32 degrees. Ann Arbor, you're close to the freezing mark, and there's usually pockets around Ann Arbor that tend to be just a degree or two colder than this weather station. So that would put us at 31 or 32 degrees, which again would lead to some icing conditions. Also, Port Sanilac right now at the freezing mark. So we'll keep an eye on these temperatures. They really shouldn't fall much farther, which is some good news. But unfortunately, yes, we are looking at conditions, of course, for the potential for some freezing rain as we are looking at. All right, so we've got the temperatures here. As we put things back into motion and take a look at what we've got going on, I'm going to zoom in to where we are looking at least radar indicating freezing rain. So for those of you down towards Tecumseh and then working your way up M12, getting through Saline, Ann Arbor, Belleville, Canton, likely looking at least a little bit of freezing rain with the temperatures in this region close to the freezing mark. South Lyon, also eventually up through Farmington Hills and Southfield, Bloomfield Hills, you'll start to see some of that freezing rain too as well. Now, we just checked in with Detroit, but that was actually at the airport where we were reporting 34 degrees. And the airport right here is kind of right along. I'm just going to try to get my pointer up here. So you can see airport is just right about here. So we are reporting some rain where temperatures are currently above freezing, but you can see stretching through Dearborn and even through the city of Detroit already seeing some light freezing rain, or maybe technically freezing drizzle at this moment. We are going to continue to see this move from the southwest to the northeast, so locations up in this direction have a good chance to unfortunately see more ice as we continue, even if your temperatures are still below the freezing mark at this moment. So we are looking at freezing rain this morning. Biggest concern for a majority of us, again, is the fact that we could have icing on the roadways as this moves on through. It's not as big of a concern for down trees and down power lines. Accumulations won't be that high, but we are looking at, again, icy conditions possible on the roadways. Now, I will say, when I drove in this morning, I could not tell you how much salt was on the on-ramp, which was great. Great shout out. Oh gosh, sorry, that was my phone. Shout out to Wayne County, I'm assuming, who did it because I was hopping on to 275, and it was just salt the whole way up the on-ramp. So that was something good to see, just because I was like, okay, well, we're all driving on this, everyone who's getting on the highway, and we're getting the salt on our tires. It's, of course, a curvy on-ramp. I know that ice is really going to struggle to develop on that on-ramp. So hopefully that's the case in your area. Of course, road crews hit the major roads first. So we've got highways, on-ramps, and then, of course, kind of just goes down from there. So if your route normally takes you on a road that's not really that often driven on, be prepared for some slippery conditions on that roadway. All right, so again, we are looking at some light freezing rain coming through. Temperatures right now are anywhere from 32 degrees up to 36 degrees. So yes, not all of us are looking at the threat for freezing rain this morning, which is also great, but some of us definitely are. So I'm just looking at the special weather statement issued by the National Weather Service, just seeing sometimes if they will say anything different than what I was looking at. So no, thankfully the special weather statement is only about the fact that yes, we're looking at slippery driving conditions with a light bit of ice developing as we continue throughout this morning. Now there is a winter weather advisory for Sanilac County. So of course up here where Port Sanilac is, but this entire county, it actually stretches farther to the east as well. And this is for though ice accumulations that could be even more. So up in this direction, looking at 1/10 of an inch possible, and that could lead to, again, icy conditions. So looking at slippery conditions being the biggest concern with the ice, not worried necessarily about down trees and down power lines because of the weight of the ice, because we're just not going to see accumulations that high. So that is some good news there. Now you can get your questions going if you have anything about this morning. I just wanted to get you out the door too. Of course, Mike was on all morning tracking this, and now it is also moving through right during the morning commute. So not ideal situation here, but thankfully this won't be too bad. And the good news is we're only looking at this window pretty much about, let's see, at 7:15, about a 2-hour window that we have our best chance for this freezing rain as it moves through, and then we all warm up and we'll switch to rain showers for almost the rest of the day. It won't be the entire rest of the day because we are going to be looking at another shot of some colder air that'll bring a chance for some light snow later this evening. Most of us won't even see the snow, and then if you do see the snow, accumulation is going to be minimal. So thankfully that's some good news there. But right now, as the storm system comes through, we are tracking some freezing rain. That's what you see with that pink color. All right, taking a look at this system, you know, it's not much. There's not much to it. This will catch up in just a second and loop through. But there's not much with it. It's a system where the center of the low right now is over towards Chicago at this moment. So you can kind of pick up that rotation. So the center low here, the low is going to move right across us, mainly just to the north of the city of Detroit. So we're going to fall into the warmer part of this low. That's why our temperatures are going to warm up, and I'm not too worried about long-standing freezing rain chances as we continue all the way, again, through long-standing freezing rain chances as we continue all the way through the rest of the morning. So just wanted to give you a heads up there. But we are going to be looking at eventually, sorry, I'm just checking something here. I'm having some technical issues this morning, right? Tuesday, second day back from the holidays. Okay, it's not my second day back, but it's the second day back for a lot of people this morning. If you're joining me with a cup of coffee this morning, gotta get my brain going too, so hopefully you're there with me. But tracking a storm system that is bringing some freezing rain across the area this morning. If you're just joining, again, the concern is not necessarily a lot of freezing rain that's going to cause down trees and down power lines. The concern that it is going to be just enough freezing rain to create some slippery driving conditions. So breaking down radar here, green is rain, some of that yellow and orange, that's heavier rain. You're seeing that south of Lansing towards 127, but the pink color here, that would be the freezing rain, which you can see. And freezing rain, in case you're wondering, literally falls as rain, but if your temperature at the surface is 32 degrees or below, that rain will freeze, of course, on that and create some slippery conditions. So that's freezing rain is caused when you have just cold air at the surface and you have warm air coming in above it. That's what we're seeing at this moment because we have a warm front lifting through. We are going to see warmer temperatures today. We're going to try to make it into the 40s, low 40s at best. Not expecting too warm today, but we are going to be warming up and getting away from the freezing mark eventually. We just have to get through this process. All right, I'm going to stop it, zoom in a couple communities at this moment. My gosh, I need coffee. We are looking at some light freezing rain just to the northeast of Adrian. So Rayson, Tecumseh, Britain, Macon, looking at some of the light freezing rain. There's a chance we'll see some here through Monroe. I know radar's indicating it through Stony Point and then just to the east of Monroe. However, temperatures in this region, more locations are about 34 degrees, but still there is the potential to see some freezing rain. So definitely back here just to the west of US 23, chance to see some freezing rain. Now, right now, we have our most potentially widespread light freezing rain going on through Washtenaw County. This is the area that we have pockets that tend to be a little bit colder. This is, we usually show on the map in the morning. Ann Arbor, for example, can be drastically different than what we're seeing in the city of Detroit. So usually runs colder here, probably due to the topography, also due to the fact that we have a lot of green space out in this county too, which allows the temperatures to drop, not looking at some heating effects. Anyways, we are looking at best chance for some light freezing rain here. So if your commute takes you along M14, M12, 94, even US 23, those will be some bigger concerns for some light freezing rain creating slippery driving conditions across the area. Now we're just starting to see some more of this light freezing rain push to the north, getting close to the 275, 696, 96 interchange. So looking at that area, which I know is heavily trafficked as we continue throughout the morning, or should say commuted on. I don't think that's a verb, but anyways, that is going to be an area of concern as more and more of us head out the door. Also, if your kids are going to the bus stop, if you drive them to school, if they walk to school, make sure that they are prepared for some slippery conditions on the sidewalks. Of course, a lot of city crews put out salt, but not necessarily super fast, so you just have to be prepared for that. We could be looking at some light freezing drizzle up towards Pontiac, Sterling Heights, and Warren. A lot of that is likely not making it to the ground just yet, but that'll change again as we continue to see this lift north. And then as we zoom out even more, we're seeing somewhat of a break here through most of Lapeer County, Macomb County, St. Clair County, and Sanilac County. However, Sanilac County again is under a winter weather advisory for potential ice accumulations up to 1/10 of an inch. So if you think about it, your thumb, the top part of your thumb is about 1 inch in length. 1/10 of an inch is just 1/10 of that. So it's a small amount of ice where we do have the winter weather advisory up in Sanilac County. Everyone else is the potential for ice accumulation will be 1/100th of an inch, maybe 3/100ths of an inch. So that's even smaller. Small amounts of ice expected, but it doesn't take much, of course, to create some slippery conditions across the area. We have had that time and time again this year, even looking at that. So if you're just joining this morning, tracking some freezing rain, freezing drizzle too. The difference between the two is how heavy everything is coming down. Freezing drizzle, of course, much lighter than freezing rain. Not worried about down trees, down power lines. It's more concerned about if you're just about to head out the door, be prepared for some slippery driving conditions this morning. All right, I want to take a quick look at temperatures as across the area. Again, we're pretty much at our coldest temperature of the day, especially because we're getting close to sunrise, which is about 40 minutes from now. We usually see our coldest temperature just before sunrise, so I really don't expect our temperatures to fall much more. We also have warmer air moving in. Some of us have already seen some impacts from the warmer air, so we've started to climb a bit, but right now most of us are at the freezing mark or just above the freezing mark. I wanted to take a look at my phone because I can get a little bit more detailed on temperatures. There's a couple other maps that we're able to use to get a little bit closer look. Let's see if I can get into some of that. But again, if you're just joining this morning, tracking some freezing rain moving across the area. Biggest concern, slippery travel. Right now we're seeing this line kind of move through. I'll I'll jump ahead to what we've got going through. We have a line lifting in from the southwest, moving to the northeast. And again, this is moving through. You can see the radar kind of has a wide swath of freezing rain, and then it doesn't. Radar is just trying to figure out, it's picking up the precipitation. And then what this is doing right here is computing what are the temperatures at the surface, and then also how thick the warm layer is above the surface as well. So that's what this is doing. That's why it's like, oh, it looks like there's a lot of freezing rain. Then there's not as much. It goes to green. So just know with temperatures close to the freezing mark, unfortunately, it's harder to see on here who's exactly seeing what. That's why I'm actually going in right now and trying to look at what we have in terms of temperatures, even in some smaller pockets here. Let's see. Getting closer, because this will paint a better picture, hopefully. So one of the Ann Arbor stations, for example, is reporting 34. The other one is 32 right now. We also have 32 degrees being reported near Saline. And that's, again, the area right now in Washtenaw County that has the pink color. So we'll be looking at some freezing rain. As I look back farther, just south of Tecumseh, also 32, Clinton 32. So that would support freezing rain this morning. And then also looking at this around Milan too, looking at 32. Same thing through Dundee, 32 degrees at this moment. So that is supporting that this is actually freezing rain making it to the ground when it touches the surface, which is at freezing, which we're seeing, or even below. That's where we're looking at some freezing rain. I'm going to travel a little farther north right now. The weather station in Canton is reporting 33, but the interchange of 96 and 275 just near Livonia, that's at 32 degrees. So of course that's a big interchange. And then all of 96, a station in Livonia, reporting 32 degrees right now. So that would be a concern as you work your way towards the Southfield Freeway. Definitely a chance to see some ice there. Also something to note, of course, any elevated surfaces, so like bridges, those ice faster than roadways. That's because there's nothing underneath them except free flowing air. And if that air is below freezing, it just supports, again, the chance for some ice on the roadways and slippery driving conditions. So be concerned, of course, for overpasses, if you are driving anywhere, especially if you're taking an overpass on a curve. That always makes me nervous. I take that big one from 696 to 275, and I always get nervous when I'm driving at midnight. I always check the temperature, just making sure, because you know you're on that curve. And then, of course, if the temperature is close to freezing, if the road looks wet, that could be ice. So light icing this morning. We're continuing to see this line move in from the southwest off to the northeast, starting to see it pick up a bit more through pretty much this big corridor here along 96 through Milford, Novi, even back towards Brighton, and US 23, working your way up towards Highland and not necessarily to Howell. Howell right now is showing green, and I wanted to take a quicker look at what Howell's temperature is because they're probably at 33 degrees. That's why I would show rain. Actually, the closest station to Howell, which is just west of the city, reporting 36 degrees. So that's some good news for you. So if you're traveling west this morning, you'll likely run into some freezing rain, but there are some pockets of temperatures above the freezing mark. Right now, locations like Farmington Hills, 31, Beverly Hills, 31 degrees too. So that would be concerning. If you live towards Royal Oak, we're at about 32 degrees. Also seeing that through Sterling Heights, Warren 33. So that is why we're concerned about some freezing rain and some slippery driving conditions this morning as this line continues to move to the northeast. Now overall accumulation for a majority of us will be a few hundredths of an inch, though up towards Sanilac County where there is a winter weather advisory, accumulation could be a tenth of an inch. I know it doesn't sound like much, but that definitely can create some slippery driving conditions on any untreated surface. So keep that in mind if you are traveling out and about this morning. It's not only about the roadways that are mainly traveled, it's also about the sidewalks, it's about your porch. I can't tell you how many videos we saw last week, I think is what it was, when we had the freezing rain and people just took one step down their porch and then they went down the rest of their steps. So please be cautious of that. Also, if you do have some salt, might not be a bad idea to put at least a little on the steps for the delivery drivers, USPS, UPS, FedEx, Amazon, all of those, just to make sure that they don't slip as well. You never want to have someone else get injured, of course, on your property. So yeah, make sure that they're okay. But yes, this morning, grab your cup of coffee. If you're just about to head out the door, wake up your mind if you're like me. And yes, we are looking at some freezing rain, so be ready for that, the potential for that. All right, we got some comments finally coming in. I think all of a sudden my system was like, okay, I want to work even more this morning. Good morning, Joyce. Good morning, Barbara. Good morning, Geneva. Yes, everyone's saying good morning. Oh, wow. Well, Joyce is watching from Arkansas, where it's going to be a high of 72 today. Have a great day, Joyce. I'm just kidding. No, have a great day. Honestly, I know a lot of people that snowbird, if they can, going down to Florida. A lot of people that have traveled to Florida. It seems so warm there, or anywhere in the southeast even. Of course, though, if you're here in Michigan, we're getting into our cloudiest time of the year. Some fun facts if you want to know. Did you know our cloudiest day is this Saturday on average? It's either mostly cloudy or overcast 63% of the time. Yes, I think it's the clouds that get us here in southeast Michigan. I think is the hardest part of winter. I love snow. I love tracking big winter storms, um, but it's the clouds. It's the clouds that get us. Anyways, thankfully we are going to see maybe some sun breaks come tomorrow and Tuesday before we get to that. But right now, unfortunately, we do have overcast skies and we are looking at rain and freezing rain this morning. No snow this morning. This is because a warm front is moving in. So that means warm air is coming in over cold air at the surface. Not all of us are at the freezing mark. Some of us are at 33, 34, even 36 degrees this morning, though there are quite a few of us that are right at 32, which would lead to freezing rain. We're all seeing everything fall from the sky in liquid form as raindrops. But if your particular spot is at 32 degrees or 31 degrees, you would be looking at freezing rain. Those raindrops are going to touch the surface and freeze. So please be cautious as you head out the door this morning, even just stepping on your deck or your porch or your pathway. If your kids are walking to school this morning, make sure that they are prepared for some icy spots. If you're driving this morning, please be prepared for icy spots. I did mention on my way in, though, the on-ramp was fantastically salted this morning by road crews. So they are out and about in spots making sure that there's enough salt on the roadways this morning so that people like you can get to work safely, people like myself as well. All right, I've mentioned this before on here. I'm just checking my phone because I want to take a look at where I can see some road crews, salt trucks this morning, because you can track them. Let's see. I want to see if we can check out. Now I think you can go county by county, but I'm just going to look at MDOT's ones right now. These would be the ones that are on the main highway at this moment. Let's see. Did I miss that? Travel. Maybe is it the one? I think I'm going in the wrong direction. No, I don't want to. Oh my gosh. I'm going down the road of requesting a map of Michigan. Not what I want. Let's see. There we go. All right. Once again, if you're just joining, I'm trying to track and see where we've got some snow plows going on, not going on, where we have snow plows right now. Looks like we have a snowplow station on US 23. It's called Michigami, is currently out there on US 23 in working its way through Monroe County right now. We also have two snowplows near Brighton. If you're wondering about the name, Dr. Plowgood is there, as well as Coldfoot is there. If you're just joining, also too, and being like, what the heck is she talking about? All of the MDOT snowplows have great names, and I'm just checking to see where they're at right now, if they're out and about on the roadways. Now, road crews out and about, you've got MDOT, that's run by the state. You also have county snowplows that go out and about. We're not looking at snow this morning. We are looking at freezing rain concerns. So, of course, those snowplows also salt. They can put de-icer out on the roadways too, and that's what I expect them to do this morning. So that's what it looks like. We've got snowplows out there. We have one more out towards Howell, Snowy Robinson. That's out there salting I-96 right now. But yes, biggest concern if you're just joining this morning is a thin layer of ice that can create some slippery travel conditions as you're heading to work or you're taking your kids to school this morning. Right now, if you're looking at radar, we do have the map up here. Green is rain. Pink is freezing rain. We're looking at it all falling as raindrops, but where you see the pink, what this radar or what this map is showing is taking radar and factoring in air temperatures in these regions. And a lot of us are looking at temperatures close to the freezing mark right now. Most of us are pretty much right at freezing at 31 or 32 degrees. So the good news is, because this is a warm front, we are going to look at our temperatures warm up above the freezing mark. So this process of having freezing rain shouldn't last a super long time. We will gradually warm up and then switch to just rain showers throughout the day today. Right now, our best chance for some freezing rain is here through Washtenaw County, US 23, over towards M14, I-94, looking at some of the freezing rain. Also looking at a good chance for freezing rain now up along I-96, stretching from Brighton and then working your way down through Plymouth and Livonia and then even towards the city of Detroit. So along that whole stretch, if you take this, be prepared for potentially some freezing rain. If you take 96 to 696, it does look to get a little bit better as you move towards Telegraph, but that'll be short-lived. I do expect all of this to continue to move to the northeast, so we'll likely see conditions impacted there on the Lodge, on the Southfield Freeway, looking at impacts also from the freezing rain. Up farther to the north in most of Oakley County and Macomb County right now, we're just looking at potentially some freezing drizzle, which is just like freezing rain, just much lighter. So there is the potential for that as of right now, but I do expect everything to increase. Again, I'll loop this. This is just an hour loop. As you can tell, the freezing rain is moving into your direction, so that is going to lead to deteriorating conditions as we move throughout this morning. As we take a little bit closer look to the northeast, Port Huron, most of St. Clair County fine right now, but this will change as the morning goes on. As we get closer to 8 o'clock in the morning, likely to have more freezing rain up here. And then Port Sanilac, including cities like Sandusky, Moore, Elk, you are going to be looking at the potential for ice accumulations up to 1/10 of an inch. I know that doesn't sound like much, but that is enough to create even worse driving conditions out there. Be prepared for that. Maybe even break off some tree limbs in Sanilac County. Everyone else, though, ice accumulations will just be a few hundredths of an inch at best, which is some good news in the fact that we won't be dealing with power outages as the storm rolls through. Unfortunately, though, again, it's now 7:30 and we have a lot of people heading out the door, heading to work today, getting your kids off to school, school buses, you name it. And we're looking at some freezing rain this morning, which will lead to slippery conditions across the area. All right, just wanted to take a look. Let's see who we've got joining this morning. If you have any questions, please let me know. If you're wondering about the rest of the day, eventually we are going to warm up enough where we're just going to switch to rain showers through the remainder of the day. You know, I didn't update I should show Futurecast. I should, let me put my face here on camera so you're able to see as I try to work some of my magic here on one of my scenes. But again, if you're just joining this morning, we are looking at some freezing rain, not concerned about power outages or necessarily down trees, down power lines for almost all of us. Up towards Sanilac County, we may have a few down trees, mainly the limbs that may be weak. We're looking at potentially up to 1/10 of an inch of some ice there. Everyone else, though, we're looking at only at most about 100th to 300ths of an inch of ice. That's a really small amount of ice, but it still could be just enough, of course, to create some slippery conditions, so keep that in mind. We have this band coming through, then the rest of the day it is mainly going to be rain showers, but we do have a little shot of some snow coming as we move towards this evening as well. So keeping an eye on that as we continue throughout the rest of the day today. All right, if you're, again, just joining, we're not tracking anything too terrible. We're just looking at, unfortunately, some slippery driving conditions across the area due to some freezing rain. I'm also just setting up a graphic here to kind of show you how the rest of the day goes on. That's why you're seeing my face right now as I am doing it, just so that I can set this all up so it's just not too painful for the eyes to track and figure out what I'm talking about. But yes, freezing rain this morning as this storm system comes on through. We do have areas of icy conditions, especially out towards Washtenaw County. It's a light bit of ice, but it is just enough to create, unfortunately, poor travel across the area. All right, I think I am set. So you're able to see now we're back on radar. Green here is the rain. So looking at rain through the city of Detroit south towards Wyandotte, Flat Rock, Gibraltar, Newport, continuing down even towards Monroe. The weather station in Monroe has been out, so it's hard to figure out what the temperature is there. I wish I could tell you what it was, where you're likely around the freezing mark. If you take US 23 though through Monroe County, there are areas reporting 32 degrees, so that would lead to freezing rain. Also here through most of Washtenaw County, if you're heading towards Ann Arbor today, this morning, be prepared for icy conditions on the route, whether you're taking US 23, taking M14, taking 94, all those main roads, even M12. Looking at potentially icy conditions. And now we're starting to see more of that front line work its way through Oakland County, starting to get closer up towards Pontiac, West Bloomfield, Commerce, Farmington Hills, Novi, Northville, Livonia, Westland, Plymouth, you name it, all looking at this area moving to the northeast. If you're thinking, oh, I'm up here right now sitting in Lake Orion, we're not seeing much, Richmond, St. Clair, Mount Clemens, well, it's not to you yet. It's moving in your direction. That's where we're looking at, again, this line moving through. And temperatures in this area right now that is not seeing anything they are around about 32, or there's even a couple 31 degrees at this moment. So be prepared again for potential icy conditions as this moves on through. All right, this is the leading edge of the storm. It's a warm front. This is Futurecast. This is the graph model. So it's a model in particular. It does a pretty good job at least showing the overall system. It's not doing a good job right now kind of showing what is going on at this moment, in the fact that the band right here that it's showing is very narrow. Obviously, I just showed you radar, and the band is not this narrow. It does have a little bit more of a depth to it, but it is showing, and what's doing a great job is that there are pockets of freezing rain because of temperatures, and then there's areas of just rain because temperatures are above freezing. But as we continue throughout the morning, and I actually want to backtrack just a bit, this is a warm front, so warmer air is coming in, our temperatures are going to climb. Most of us right now are at either 31 degrees is pretty much our coldest temperature, but quite a few of us are already above that. So if you're at 31, if you're at 32, it's not going to take much to get us above the freezing mark and get us away from the threat for freezing rain. And we are going to see that. So as we progress throughout the morning, that's 9 o'clock, and then here comes 10 o'clock in the morning. Pretty much by this point, we're all looking at rain. With that said, 10 o'clock, there still could be a couple pockets, those pockets that stay cold a little longer. You may notice icy spots that always happen on certain parts of roads because it's just colder there. There are still going to be those pockets. There's still the chance for some freezing rain in those pockets. Otherwise, though, by the time we get to the lunch hour, we will be looking at rain showers across the area. We'll keep the rain throughout the afternoon, but then on the back side of the storm, this is 5 o'clock, we'll get another push of some colder air and bring us some light snow. Now, this snow will mainly be north of I-96, and even better, it's likely going to be north of M59, but still could be just enough to move on through to create also, again, just enough slippery conditions this evening. Not expecting a lot in terms of accumulation, but it could, again, just be enough to create some slippery spots. And then even as we get through tonight, you can see we kind of go back and forth between some light rain and light snow as temperatures hover close to the freezing mark overnight tonight and into tomorrow morning. So honestly, the best word of advice for, I don't know, the best way to sum up, I should say, about the next 24 hours weather-wise is none of the weather is going to be enough where it's like, oh no, this is going to be terrible, like I just need to stay at home forever. No. All of this weather is just enough to create, unfortunately, you to be alert a bit more, because this morning it's the freezing rain with the ice potential. Later this afternoon, more so into the evening, it's a light bit of snow that may create some slippery conditions. So it's the slippery conditions that we're looking at. Of course, this is easily battled with salt or de-icer on the roadways, and of course crews are out there. So it's going to be hit or miss on where slick spots could be, just based on where crews have been already this morning, salting or not. But this morning's biggest concern is freezing rain. I want to take a look at the temperatures on with our current radar. As you can see here, this doesn't really paint the whole picture, but Ann Arbor now 33 degrees, Detroit, that's actually out at the airport, 34 degrees, Howell 36, but Pontiac, for example, you're 32 degrees, and we are looking at this moisture moving through, so it would be freezing rain as it arrives. Port Sanilac is the other spot that's at 32 degrees, but this only shows a couple of the weather stations around the area. I just want to go back to some other pockets. Let's see. Right now, I'll shout out some other temperatures. We're looking at 32 in Plymouth, 32 in Novi also right now. So yes, in this area where we are looking at reporting freezing rain based on the radar and the temperature equivalent, yes, we are looking at temperatures cold enough there. Stations all around Ann Arbor are mainly at 34. The Ypsilanti station's at 34 degrees. However, there is one station that is close to the Botanical Gardens. That's on the east side, looking at 32 degrees at this moment. And then also there's still a couple pockets back towards Saline and then also towards Milan that are at 32. Same thing also in Dundee this morning, looking at temperatures close to 32 degrees in pockets. So again, pockety freezing rain this morning, not widespread, not heavy. The biggest concern is slippery driving conditions, especially on any untreated surface. Also, it's Tuesday, so many of us are heading back to work. If you work from home and you work a hybrid kind of system, a lot more people are usually on the road on Tuesday than there are on Monday, so be prepared for that. And then also looking at your kids heading to school too, make sure that they're ready for some slippery conditions as they're walking to school or stepping on or off the bus. Of course, I've yet to be to a school that does not have a lot of salt on the ground either. So thankfully, crews are, the people that work everywhere too are usually really good at salting. All right, just wanted to take a look. Let's see if I can see if any incidents we have going on. I'm just pulling up a different map, a map that you guys can't see, but just using MDOT. Let's see, what are these ones? Yeah, these are always construction ones. I don't want construction ones. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. I'm just looking at different parts of information to see what we've got going on. All right, let's see. Do we have an incident? There was a crash on eastbound I-94, blocking the right shoulder. Let's see what else we've got going on. Sorry, just turning stuff on and off and seeing. Thankfully right now, maybe because of the lighter traffic volumes, and then also because, again, this isn't going to be a lot of freezing rain, we don't really have too many incidents, or really any at all out there this morning. So that's some good news. But if you're just joining this morning, we are looking at freezing rain coming through. It's moving in from the southwest, pushing to the northeast. It's not going to be a lot. Not worried about power outages this time. What we're worried about is slippery driving conditions because it's 7:40 right during the morning commute. We are looking at the pink area here indicating freezing rain. That's because a lot of pockets in this region are at freezing. If you notice, you can see kind of the green gets adjusted, like goes from pink to green, pink to green. That's because this map is taking radar, which is picking up the precipitation, and then also taking the surface temperature and doing a quick little not math equation, but a little equation to show it here. So there are pockets of temperatures that are at 32. There are places that are at 33. We do have a good chunk of people through most of Washtenaw County up here towards Oakland County that are sitting at about 32 at this moment. And that's why we're looking at the freezing rain, the pink color, as you can see here. We're going to continue to see this move to the northeast. So for those of you that live through Ferndale, Warren, eventually even towards St. Clair Shores, we'll see your temperature. Right now, St. Clair Shores, you're at about 33, so you may just be looking at rain. Same thing up towards Mount Clemens, but we'll just be cautious out and about this morning. That's the best advice that I can give you with this scenario. Just treat every wet surface as potentially being ice and not water out there, just because it's going to be very pockety what locations are freezing and what aren't, just because we're at 32, 33 degrees at this moment. All right, keep your questions coming in if you have any questions about, the weather, even for the rest of the week, because we do have better conditions coming our way for the rest of the week, except for maybe later on Thursday night into Friday. But this morning, we are, of course, looking at this transition from some colder temperatures to eventually warmer air. This is a warm front lifting through, so we are going to be looking at warmer air coming in today, eventually switching all to rain. We do have warmer temperatures also Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. More temperatures into the 40s. Rain does return, though, again, Thursday, late in the day on Thursday, and then continues into Friday. It does look like we'll eventually see colder air filter back in some point Saturday, maybe Saturday night into Sunday. But we do have warmer conditions expected. 40s are in our future, not the 20s like we've had over the last couple of days. If you're just joining me, grab your cup of coffee. We're tracking some freezing rain this morning. I just want to get you prepared as you head out the door, as we are looking at oh my goodness gracious. Excuse me, everyone. Just getting you ready for the commute this morning, as we could be looking at some spots of icy conditions. I've mentioned it before too. My route this morning, getting on the on-ramp, it was salt. It was like salt piles and salt piles and salt piles. So hopefully more on-ramps are kind of like that in these scenarios, because it's the only way that you're going to battle a thin layer of ice is with some salt. It lowers the freezing point of water, and thus, wait, did I say that wrong? Sorry, it raises the freezing point of water, so thus that water does not freeze on the roadway. So that's some good news there. Not everyone is seeing the freezing rain this morning, but because it is so pockety, again, please just treat every wet surface as potentially ice when you're driving, or even when you're walking. Don't take that first step down your stairs and then just wipe out test it first maybe. Feel it with your hands, feel it with your fingers, make sure that it's water, not ice. That's the last thing. I hate seeing those videos. As much as a lot of us find it funny, you know, you can get seriously injured slipping on ice. I can't tell you how many people I have heard have torn their ACL or did something to their ankle, you know, stuff like that. Broke a hip even. So please be cautious this morning. All right, I want to zoom in and take a look at what we've got going on. Of course, we're now starting to see at least this initial batch of precipitation, so freezing rain and rain, end through most of Lenawee County. So your commute now from here on out should be fine. Monroe County will wrap up some of these showers too, so your commute will be better in about the next half hour. So if you head out the door closer to 8 o'clock or after that, it will be better. We'll also see improvement for your commute through Washtenaw County within about the next half hour. This freezing rain will be off to the northeast. However, I do expect, unfortunately, conditions through Oakland County, Macomb County. If you go to work around 9 o'clock or anywhere between 8 and 9 o'clock, we are going to be looking at areas of freezing rain for your morning commute. So be cautious for that. Livingston County, we're pretty split. US 23, there actually are locations in Heartland and Brightland that are at 32 and 33 degrees. So I do expect some icy spots. If you're traveling up towards Flint today, if you're traveling out towards Lansing, be prepared for some areas of ice in this region. Of course, Howell, though, the weather station there is at 36 degrees, so that's well above freezing, and looking at rain showers, which is being supported here by radar at this moment. You just saw Pinckney, who was originally in pink, now is in green. We're looking at temperatures right here close to about 33, so we're seeing pockets even within one community that our temperatures are below freezing. So that's why this radar is going back and forth. It's very pockety. If you live in, you know, one town, your friend that lives 2 miles away may be at a temperature that's a degree colder, which isn't much, but it's just enough to differentiate between rain and freezing rain. So that's what we're looking at this morning. We do have some light freezing rain now arriving right on this leading edge. So for those of you that live towards Harper Woods, Warren, Sterling Heights, and then up towards Rochester, eventually this is all going to continue to move through. So you may have had some light drizzle this morning. We'll continue to see that increase as we move throughout the rest of the morning and move in this direction. It's all very light. Accumulation won't be any more than a few hundredths of an inch for most of us, but up here towards Port Sanilac, it could be a little bit more than that as this moves on through, and that's why there's a winter weather advisory in place there. I want to zoom out to take a look at this whole storm system itself, add some bigger radar on so you're able to see. We're not the only ones waking up to freezing rain this morning. They're seeing it north of Grand Rapids, northeast of Grand Rapids, north of I-96. So if your commute takes you all the way to this side of the state today, please be prepared for icy conditions there. Also up north, we had a first band move through. Most of this is not reaching the ground, but some of it is. So if you're traveling north today, that's what we're looking at. A lot of our rain through Milwaukee and most of southern Wisconsin. And then behind that, they're looking at some more freezing rain off closer to Minneapolis, on your way to Minneapolis near La Crosse at this moment. We are looking at this system. Let me cycle it through. Rolling through, the main track of the storm is kind of from west to east. There's a little bit of a northern movement to it. The center of the low is here towards Chicago right now, and it is going to move in this direction, which means all of this precipitation is also going to be slowly moving in the east-northeast direction. So we will be looking at rain showers through a majority of the day, and then eventually looking at a chance for some snow on the backside of the system, even though right now what's on the backside of the system is not much snow. It looks to be more freezing rain at this moment. But for us, we are looking at a good chance for that. All right. As you take a look here at your future cast, we'll put things into motion. Again, warming up over the next few hours. I think our biggest threat for freezing rain will end by 10 o'clock at the latest. Most of us will be in the clear by 9 o'clock this morning. So if you usually leave later in the day, you're looking at better conditions, or later in the morning, better conditions. But we will be looking at rain showers on and off throughout the day today, especially north of I-96. That's where our heaviest rain will be today. Also, our best chance for some snow. So you can see by 5 o'clock, o'clock, looking at a changeover as temperatures start to drop into the evening. I think this model is a little bit robust on the kind of snow coverage, but we are going to be looking at temperatures dropping back close to the freezing mark, and then the entire column of air is going to be cold. If you're wondering why does sometimes we see snow, sometimes we see freezing rain, it kind of depends on the air above the surface. So right now we have cold air at the surface, but warm air aloft. That's what's causing freezing rain. But when you have cold air at the surface and then it just continues to be cold all the way up, that's what leads to some snowy conditions. So that's what we'll see later. Later today, this evening. Now, snowfall should be pretty light. At most, you could get up to an inch up towards Port Sanilac later this evening, so slippery driving conditions possible again. So keep an eye on that as we continue throughout the remainder of the day today. We are looking at icy conditions in spots this morning. Very pockety though, very thin ice. Not worried about down trees, down power lines. Accumulation is not going to be that much for a majority of us, but still looking at potential impacts if you are driving this morning for icy travel across the area. We are looking at, thankfully, things starting to calm down south of Ann Arbor along US 23. Again, this line isn't really intense, but it is looking to bring just enough rain, freezing rain, to create some slippery conditions. If you take 96 into the city of Detroit or Dearborn, be prepared for icy conditions there. Also pretty much all along I-275 right now, except south as you work your way into Monroe County where it connects back with 75. Then also for the Lodge, the Southfield Freeway, looking at icy conditions at this moment, and then even where you can get back onto I-94, working your way north of the city of Detroit. These are some of the pockets that we're looking at, the biggest concern for some slippery travel across the area as we continue again through this morning. Up towards Pontiac, looking at some light freezing rain. Okay, the radar here, I want to describe this. What you're seeing here is snow. So actually this is the radar site. It's out in White Lake, north of M59. This is just this would not be snow. In this region, the entire column of air is not below freezing, so we just have a little issue with the radar there. This area that you're seeing, the blue, that would be freezing rain. It would be pink like the rest of it. So sometimes you just have some radar errors with the system. But anyways, okay, so again, most of us looking at the pink color this morning, which is freezing rain. We're keeping an eye on temperatures this morning because most of us are at or actually just above the freezing mark. It's the pockets that are at freezing that are, again, the concern with the freezing rain. Right now, Pontiac, you've bumped up to 33 degrees, which would be in your favor to really not have pockets of freezing rain. However, I want to see if I can find some areas around Pontiac that may be closer to 32 at this moment. I'm just pulling up a different map on my phone that gets a little bit more detailed. We don't like to show, I mean, who wants to see 100 numbers on temperatures on a temperature map? But let's see. Pontiac's at 33. But out towards Sylvan Lake, it's 32 right now. Waterford, though, you're 34 at this moment. South of Pontiac, so down towards Beverly Hills, looking at 32 degrees. We also have a station that is close to Orchard Lake. That's at 32 at this moment. Let's see if I got another station. Rochester, 32 at this moment. If you're just joining me, I'm reading temperatures because it's very pockety this morning who's seeing freezing rain and who is not, because our temperatures thankfully are not at like 28 degrees or 29 degrees across the board. If they were at 28 and 29 degrees as this warm front came through, I'd be mostly concerned because I'd be like, it's going to take us a long time to get above the freezing mark. Most of us are at the freezing mark and some of us are already above the freezing mark. So it won't take much to take this threat away for some freezing rain. So we just have to make it through about 2 more hours. We're coming up on 8 o'clock. I think most of us honestly will be in the clear in about an hour as our temperatures continue to climb. But we are looking at freezing rain this morning being the biggest concern. Biggest concern, slippery travel conditions, whether you're walking, whether you're driving, whether, I don't know, you're riding a bike. I did see someone riding a bike yesterday and I thought, wow, That was dedication. But that's the biggest concern is slippery travel across the area. Ice accumulation won't be any more than a few hundredths of an inch. Most of us won't even see that. But still could be slippery out there as you head out the door. This system is a bigger system that stretches all the way back towards Minneapolis. It's not a huge winter storm. I mean, if you love to watch radar like I do, I know many of you probably don't, systems can be way bigger than this. But this system does have, unfortunately, its potency in that it's bringing us warm air over cold air at the surface, which is leading to a threat for freezing rain this morning. And then also eventually it has a chance to bring us some light snow as we get through this evening. So we'll keep an eye on that. We do have rain eventually expected for the rest of the day today. Steadier rain north of I-96 than south of I-96. So I should say 96 and 696. If you kind of draw a line, almost could even say 8 mile, give or take, because 96 starts to trail northwest away from 8 Mile. Grand River, that might be a better cutoff. If you live south of Grand River, better chance to not see that much rain today. There will still be rain showers, but heavier amounts will be north of Grand River as we continue through the rest of the day today. Overall rainfall won't be a ton either. Again, freezing rain, ice accumulation, a few hundredths of an inch. Overall rainfall, not much. And then we'll have a little quick bit of snow on the backside of the system. We'll keep an eye on that because it could come through around the evening commute, closer to 5 o'clock. So if you go home closer to 3 o'clock, you will be fine, but it's later in the day. And also the threat for the snow is also north of Grand River, we'll say in this sense. But overall accumulation too should not be much, except up towards Port Sanilac where it could be about an inch of some snow. We are looking at warming trends this upcoming week. So today we'll try to make it close to 40 degrees. Tomorrow more low 40s, and then even on Thursday we'll be in the upper 40s. Friday we could hit 50 degrees, but we are going to be looking at rain back in the area Thursday night into Friday. So that is the one thing that changes. If you're hoping for more snow, it's coming too. We'll change back over to snow at some point, either late Saturday or into early Sunday. And then it does look like the second half of this month is likely going to be, has a better chance to be below average with temperatures. And that's also our coldest time of the year, not just of the month, but the year. Our average high is 32, our average low is 18. So if we do have a better chance of being below average, you can kind of quickly do the math. That puts us into cold temperatures below freezing. And that could, of course, hopefully we get more storms coming through, and that would lead to more winter weather. I don't want to be done with winter just yet. We do still have a couple of months. I think what would be nice is if, we just had winter through January and then it became spring all of a sudden. We'll see if that happens. But yes. All right, got some questions here. Lenny asking about Macomb Township. Right now in Macomb Township, your temperatures are close to the freezing mark. So the reason I point that out is because we're looking at 32 to 33 degrees, not only in Macomb Township, honestly through all of Macomb County, all of Oakland County right now. So my best advice, if you are seeing this area of pink, even if you're seeing areas of green that are moving in your direction into your community, be prepared for any surface to be ice rather than just wet. That is because our temperatures are very, they're right on the freezing mark. Some of us are at 33, but just because a weather station is 33 and you're a half mile from it does not mean that your particular temperature at your house is 33. You could be 32 degrees. You could be 34 degrees. So it's very give or take a degree or two. And unfortunately, when you're looking at temperatures right by the freezing mark, that give or take a degree or two makes a big difference if you're just looking at rain or if you're looking at freezing rain. Biggest concerns for driving will be overpasses. Those are the areas that freeze the quickest. Think about it, there's free flowing air below the overpass, so the road surface has the potential to be below freezing quicker than if the road was on the ground, because the ground tends to stay warmer and help keep the road from dropping to that freezing mark or colder. When you have air passing underneath, it allows the entire bridge to cool faster. And fall to that freezing mark. So overpasses will be big concerns. Of course, on-ramps, when you have any sort of curving going on in your driving, that will be a concern. I mentioned this earlier. When I got on the highway, we had so much salt on the on-ramp, which was great to see, in the fact that when you're looking at a morning as a meteorologist being like, the commute is the biggest thing that could be impacted from this, and you see all that salt, you're like, thank goodness, road crews have been out, they are ready. They want to make it safe for all of those that are commuting to work today or to school. Just again, be prepared for that. Oh, look, okay. So, sorry, I'm just looking at now my other phone. I just got a notification from my daughter's school district that says the bus route may experience pickup delays this morning due to road conditions. So, we're looking at that from even one school district in the area. So there is the potential again for delays. That's indicating that there are definitely some slippery spots out there. This is not an event that's going to lead to widespread power outages or anything like that, widespread down trees. No, it's just enough freezing rain that can create slippery driving conditions across the area. This is our transition to warmer conditions. Unfortunately, sometimes our transitions are rough from the cold conditions to the warm conditions, or vice versa. You know, we have severe weather when we go from warm to cold. This time we have freezing rain when we go from cold to warm. So biggest concern this morning, freezing rain. Really starting to see it pick up through Oakland County at this moment. Better news though, back towards Lenawee and Monroe counties, there is still moisture out there, so it's likely going to be more so freezing drizzle or sprinkles, but it's this initial band that's rolling through that is the biggest concern at this moment. Yes, there was another band a little farther to the north. Most of that wasn't reaching the ground. That's just the radar picking the tops of the clouds. So just based on the radar location. But as we zoom in, if you're just joining too, that snow circle you see, that's just the radar struggling with the precipitation as it's moving through. This is not snow. This is freezing rain. We are looking at this freezing rain moving in from the southwest to the northeast. I'm going to pause it. Thankfully, we're starting to see it let up through Ann Arbor, but you can still see as you work your way towards I-275 towards the airport, potentially looking at some ice there, and then all the way up 275 to where it meets 96 and 696 and 5, looking at these spots, the areas that potentially are looking at slippery driving conditions, stretching all the way back towards US 23 near Brighton at this moment. Past Brighton though, temperatures are warmer than freezing, so we are switching back to rain showers, not necessarily the whole way to Lansing if you're going that way, or actually I should say Lansing, yes, but back even farther towards Grand Rapids, you may run into some freezing rain, though it looks mainly to the north. If your travel takes you to Flint today, better chance for freezing rain. We're actually seeing that all along I-75 at this moment, down towards Pontiac, and then as we work our way farther to the south and east, looking at freezing rain now moving through a lot of not only Oakland County, but now arriving into southern Macomb County, northern Wayne County at this moment, stretching all the way towards Lake St. Clair, Grosse Pointe. You can see pockets of green, pockets of pink. Like I've been mentioning, our temperatures are right at freezing. Some of us are 33 degrees, 34 degrees, some of us are 32 degrees. It's just a narrow window, a narrow range, but the range unfortunately is right around the freezing mark. So that's why we're looking at pockets of freezing rain and then just other spots looking at just rain. All of this is moving to the northeast, so we'll eventually start to see Macomb up towards Lenox, Richmond, all along 94 up towards Port Huron, eventually start to look at freezing rain moving through, and then even up here, Lapeer up towards Sanilac County, we'll see a mixture of freezing rain and rain as this continues to move through. Our temperatures are warming along this. This is a warm front moving through. First, the warm air goes above the surface. At the surface, we're below freezing, but eventually that warm air does come all the way down to the surface. So that will warm up our temperatures as we continue throughout this morning. I think pretty much by the time we get to 10 o'clock this morning, our threat will be almost over. There's still likely will be just a couple pockets, like a couple that are at 32 degrees. Most places though will be warmer than that, and you won't have to worry too much. But honestly, the next hour I would still be very cautious out and about for slippery travel across the area. Isabel in Kenosha. Hi, Isabel in Kenosha, Wisconsin, where you're seeing just rain this morning. Good to see you this morning. Let's see. Madison Heights, hopefully just covered that for you, Tina, as I was taking a look in that direction towards Macomb County this morning. So yes, looking at light freezing rain. If you're just joining, again, looking at light freezing rain moving through this morning. Biggest concern, travel. I just got a notification from my daughter's school district saying that there could be bus delays this morning because of the conditions. And so keep an eye on that if you also get the same notification from your school, or if you're taking your kid to school, walking or driving, you will be looking at areas of ice. Sidewalks will be icy. Also steps will be icy. You name it. Things could be icy if there's no salt on them. Salt will do wonders in these current conditions because the temperature is close to the freezing mark, so the salt does not have to work that hard to make sure the ice doesn't form. So that's some good news. Back towards Livingston County, we're kind of split. Howell and out towards Fowlerville looking at a lot of rain, which is some great news. But you can see on the east side of the county looking at a mixture of some rain and freezing rain. Most of this, though, is very light. We're starting to see, again, quieter conditions through Washtenaw County, Lenawee County, and Monroe County, though there are still a couple pockets, a couple of light showers. I wouldn't rule out some more light freezing drizzle or light rain this morning, light drizzle, I should say. After we get past that initial band, but it's that initial band that's moving through. So it is coming through the city of Detroit right now, but mainly we're seeing it split north of the city, looking at freezing rain up towards Hamtramck, Grosse Pointe Park, but the city and then south, it's more of a mixture. It's more of the rain, and even towards Dearborn, south towards Lincoln Park. That's where we're looking at mainly rain. Taylor, downriver, looking at, again, more so rain rather than freezing rain. Temperatures in this region are closer to 34 degrees. So that's some good news for you if this is where you live or this is where your commute is going to take you this morning. As we work our way to the north, though, this is what we are mostly concerned about is the pink color here. Again, this is freezing rain. Accumulation will just be a few hundredths of an inch, not expecting much, but if you do live in this area, your commute takes you in this area, please be prepared for some slippery conditions out and about just because of the freezing rain. We're looking at more of this light freezing rain arriving now into the very western portion of Sanilac County, or excuse me, St. Clair County, not quite to Sanilac County just yet. Lapeer, up towards Lapeer in Lapeer County, we're seeing a mixture. Lapeer's temperature, let's see what you're at. I'm pretty sure you were at 34 the last time I checked. We'll take a look at temperatures real quick. Yeah, Lapeer's 34, Pontiac 33. So even on this map, as you can see, this map is showing everyone is above freezing at 33 or 34 degrees, even Howell 36 degrees. But I have a couple more stations around the area I can access on a different map, and there are still pockets that are at 32 degrees. So don't look at this map and be like, woo, we're in the clear. No, there are still pockets of temperatures below freezing at this moment. I would love to say that we are not, we're all above freezing and now we're all in the clear. We're just not there yet. It's still going to take some time. All right, let me see if I can take a look if you want to know what your temperature is at this moment. You can ask me too. Of course, we only had just a couple on the map. Rochester Hills, both at 32 degrees right now, but down towards 19 miles south of M59, you're at 33 degrees. We're looking at 32 right now in through Birmingham and Clawson at this moment. Same thing in Beverly Hills. So again, I just showed you that map where everyone was at 34 and 33 degrees. But I'm just telling you now, there are still a lot of places that are at 32 degrees, which of course is the freezing mark, and that would lead to freezing rain. Novi is still at 32. Same thing Walled Lake. Same thing in Commerce at this moment. Looking at, let's see, Canton 33, West Lanier 34, Garden City 34, the airport 34. We were just looking downriver reporting rain. Right now, Ecorse 36. 35 in Taylor, Grosse Ile 35, and then also looking at 36 close to Woodhaven. So again, that's supporting the rain. Great news for you. As we work our way up towards the city of Detroit, the airport, they are reporting 34, so that's some good news. Warren right now reporting 34, so that's also some good news. However, St. Clair, the two stations near you, St. Clair Shores, 31 and 32 degrees. At the Air Force Base, a little farther to the north, close to Mount Clemens, 33 at this moment. So I know I'm just reading out temperature numbers there, but I just wanted you to kind of understand that we're at this fine line. 32 and 33 degrees means a whole lot when it comes to what is coming through right now, which is a warm front. A warm front will eventually bring us warmer air, but how warm fronts are designed is so okay. I'm going to do a little diagram. This is the surface, right? My hand is the surface. a warm front actually comes in like this. So warm air is coming in, and eventually the warm air touches the surface. But initially the warm air is way above the surface, and then it gets thicker and thicker. So as the warm front comes through, you're looking at liquid precipitation, so rain. But if the surface is still below freezing, that rain is going to freeze on any surface that is at or below freezing. So eventually we have warm enough air that will all transition to rain showers as we get later into this morning. But it is a process to get there. If you're wondering, a cold front does the opposite. Actually, a cold front looks like this. So again, warm front's this way. A cold front comes through like this, and it really just digs at the surface, and then you have the development of a line of thunderstorms along it. I hope you enjoyed my hand diagram of that. Anyways, but yes, this morning we have a warm front that's coming in over some colder air, and we are looking at pockets of light freezing rain. Not concerned again about power outages with this. Accumulation at best would be a few hundredths of an inch, a very small amount, but it's still just enough to create some slippery travel across the area. I want to take a look quickly at MDOT, see if I can, if we have any new crashes reported. Let's see. There's a crash on westbound I-96 at 11 Mile, right shoulder there, so that's in Macomb County. And that's the only one at least I can see here on this map at the moment. So that is one of the pockets that is looking at freezing rain coming through right now. Not saying that ice was the cause of it, but it definitely could increase the chance for some freezing rain across the area, excuse me, icy conditions, and lead to an increased chance of some accidents. There are crews out salting this morning, so that is some good news. Of course, I mentioned earlier too, as I was getting on the highway this morning, I mean, there was so much salt on it, which is a comforting thought in situations like this when it's just ice, because ice is hard to see, especially with what's coming through right now. This is not a lot of moisture, and so it's hard to tell if the road, you know, when it's wet, is it wet or is it icy? Because they kind of have the same sheen out there. So it's good to see the salt, because then you know, okay, at least I have something that I'm driving on that if it was ice, it would break it apart, or also that salt there is going to prevent ice from forming. It's going to raise the freezing point of water and not allow that to happen. So it's good to see that in scenarios like this. If you're just joining, we're tracking this band of rain and freezing rain. Also, if you notice here, I'm going to zoom in, sorry, a little too close. Here's Wayne County and Macomb County. It flips back and forth between pink and green really quickly. That's because in this area, we just talked about it, locations are 32 degrees, but then there's also locations up to 34 degrees at this moment. So the radar is picking up the precipitation, and then this map is trying to figure out with air temperatures what places are seeing. So that's why this is a very pockety event, where we're looking at pockets of freezing rain, but then also areas of just rain. So my advice, if you're traveling out and about, just treat any wet surface as if it were ice. Make sure that you are driving the speed limit or even less than it is out there, because the speed limit is for perfect driving conditions, where we're talking about dry roadways and you don't have anything to worry about. But also just be cautious out there too, because it doesn't take much. It takes one little spot that's below freezing with just a little bit of ice that could create, unfortunately, slippery conditions and cause an accident. So keep that in mind. All right. All right, if you have any questions, again, if you're just joining this morning, highlighting the freezing rain that's going through. If you're thinking if this is going to be a concern all day, it is not. We will look at this freezing rain continuing to move through, but pretty much the threat should be done by 10 o'clock. So that is another hour and 45 minutes. I will say that is a overestimated timeline. Most of us will be fine by 9 o'clock this morning with temperatures climbing above the freezing mark. But we are going to be looking at eventually a change over to rain. This is a look at the lunch hour. We will have heavier rain today north of Detroit. South of Detroit, it'll be lighter rainfall, but still rainfall. Then as we continue through the afternoon, if you notice here, we do switch to some snow showers. This will be best north of I-69, and we could be looking at about an inch of snow up towards Sanilac County. However, most of us won't even be seeing the snow, as most of it will stay away from us. This is a little closer to 9 o'clock tonight. You can see the snow tries to push down towards the city of Detroit. It would be very light. Biggest concern again would be just enough amount, just a little bit, to create slippery conditions. I don't expect a lot of us to have to shovel or worry about that at all. As we get overnight tonight, our temperatures are going to hover close to the freezing mark, with a lot of us staying at about 33 degrees or 34 degrees. Does this sound familiar? Exactly like what we're looking at this morning. So we are likely going to see a little bit of light rain and light snow overnight tonight, but most of us don't have to worry about conditions because you shouldn't be traveling out and about in the early morning hours. And then also by the time you get to the morning commute tomorrow, it will be much better across the area. Ooh, okay. Just got a report from Ryan Marshall, reporter. He was out in Ypsilanti this morning. He says freezing rain. So that is, yes, that is supportive of obviously what we're seeing on radar. And also, again, I got that report from my daughter's school district that buses may be delayed because of the road conditions. So very pockety with this freezing rain, and it's also the thin amount that it is creating some travel problems potentially across the area. You can see where we are looking at this band. I want to pause it here. You might be looking at being like, why does it look so stripy? Like, why do we have green here and then pink here and then green here? This is just the area that we have temperatures that are close to the freezing mark right now. We do tend to be a little bit warmer here on the east side. Some lake influences sometimes dictate that. And then we also just have the warmer air already arriving here through the central part of the state. So right here is also where we have a little bit more topography. We have some higher elevations, and that could also lead to, again, some of the slightly cooler temperatures. Very pockety, who's seeing 32, who's seeing 33 degrees. If you're seeing 32, it would be freezing rain going on right now. 33, it would be just rain. So again, that's what we're looking at as this moves on through. Eventually, we're all going to get above the freezing mark, and we are all going to be looking at rain showers today. Right now, though, that's not the case. We are looking at areas of freezing rain at this moment. Again, just wanted to check and see what we've got going on in terms of, let's see if we got any new accidents. Allie is the one, of course, she's the one that has it all covered. You can turn into TV20 right now, too, if you want to get information on that there. Right now, I'm not seeing any new accidents. Still just seeing that one reported on I-96 at 11 Mile Road. I'm sorry, I-696 at 11 Mile Road. Most of the MDOT salt trucks are on US 23. I can't look at the county ones. Yeah, I wish I had all the county ones and had a map of that. Again, temperatures around the area are all over the place. There's a lot of us already at 34, which is some good news. Eventually, we'll all be at 34. We'll all be actually even warmer than that as we get towards the end of the day, end of the afternoon. But we do have some colder pockets, like right now, Sandusky, which is in Sanilac County, is reporting 29 degrees. And then also near Deckerville, McGregor, 31 degrees. So that's an area that doesn't have the freezing rain right now, but it's moving in your direction. Let me head through parts of St. Clair County. So Port Huron right now, one of the weather stations is reporting 31. The other one that's closer to the river is reporting 33. So that's an example of how pockety this is. So one weather station that is closer to 94, that's on the west side of the city, is 31, which is below freezing. But then the other one that is close to the river on the east side of the city is 33, which is above freezing. So very pockety. And the distance, honestly, between these two stations is maybe 5 miles, which is not much. Along 94, if you're taking that down today, we've got 34 and 33 degrees. Temperatures really pockety, mostly through Macomb County. It looks like 33 to 34, but we are at the freezing mark right now in Romeo. So as this moves through, that's why we're looking at the pink color at this moment. I want to back out towards Oakland County because that is where we have a lot of pink here on this map. Yes, Pontiac at 32 right now. We're also getting at 32 through Auburn Hills and Rochester. 32 up towards Oxford at this moment. If you're wondering why I'm saying 32 and all that stuff, that's the air temperature. That's the freezing mark. When it comes to freezing rain, it's the numbers. The temperatures are so important on what we're seeing here because it all falls as rain. This is a warm front. It's all falling as rain. It's the question is what happens when it touches the ground. Is it going to stay wet or is it going to turn to ice? And a lot of us, again, are looking at areas where temperatures are below freezing. So a little bit of ice, a light glaze on the roadway, a light glaze on the sidewalk or the porch. That all creates slippery conditions out and about. If you live now, we're starting to almost see this slow down a bit or even end through most of the southern half of our region. So Washtenaw County, Lenawee, and Monroe counties, there are still a couple of light showers here, more so either light freezing drizzle where you're seeing the pink or a light freezing, or excuse me, light rain or drizzle where you see the green. So just a little bit pockety, not as widespread or not necessarily as intense as this band rolling through right now. Right now it's stretching from pretty much Flint down towards the city of Detroit. Of course, it stretches up farther towards Algonac here, where we're seeing a mixture of rain and freezing rain this morning. City of Detroit, it is rain. Also up towards Mount Clemens, it is just rain now. This is where the temperatures are at about 33 degrees at this moment, but we just checked back towards Pontiac and Rochester, we're at 32 degrees. So 1 degree difference makes a huge difference across the area. We'll start to see conditions improve. We're just starting to see everything end here along 96. If that takes you through the Novi area, if that's your commute, conditions will improve. So if you're going to leave in say 10 minutes at 8:30, conditions should be better, though there could be just traffic, of course, because of the time that you're leaving, and then also with the recent light amount of freezing rain that moved on through. If you take 696 in, looking at that freezing rain still going on at this moment, though that will be ending within about the next 10 minutes. If you take 96 or 94 in towards the city of Detroit or even out towards Ann Arbor, you're looking at better conditions now. However, there will still be areas of ice because of what already came through, so keep that in mind. Just a light amount, overall accumulation just going to be a few hundredths of an inch at best. That's just enough to create some slippery driving conditions. We'll start to see poor driving conditions farther to the north, Sanilac County, St. Clair County, Lapeer County, Macomb County, and Oakland County. You guys are in it right now, or you're going to be in it within about the next hour. We'll keep an eye on temperatures as this continues to roll on through, and the potential for more slippery driving conditions as we continue through the rest of the morning. All right, a quick look at Futurecast. Again, our threat for light ice will be mainly between now and 9 o'clock, though I have extended it till 10 o'clock to kind of get us to the all clear. But then eventually we really warm up and we're all just looking at rain showers by the time we get to the lunch hour. Heavier rain today will be north of the city of Detroit. We'll keep rain showers still south of the city of Detroit. And then this evening we will have colder air on the backside of the system, and it will be a cold, completely full column of air, which means snow showers. Snow showers will be light for the most part, and mainly north of the city of Detroit. And then you can even see we transition though even to some light rain as we get into tonight. The good news is everything with this system is out of here in the early morning hours of Wednesday, so by tomorrow morning's commute we should be fine across the area. But before we get there, still of course have to get through this commute. We have to get through the commute later this evening. There could be some slippery spots this evening, mainly north of the city of Detroit and probably even farther to the north up towards I-69. So if your commute's even farther to the north, if you live farther from the city of Detroit, better chance for that. So hopefully that helps. Oh, let's see, we got some new comments. Okay. All right. Okay, we've got birthdays going on. Happy birthdays to those that are joining, and I feel yeah. My birthday is also in this month, and we just have winter weather all the time, right? If you are also speaking of, I don't know if anyone caught this the other day. The cloudiest day of the year is January 10th here in Metro Detroit. Is that crazy? On average, we have cloudy or overcast skies, or mostly cloudy skies, 63% of the time on January 10th. Guess what my birthday is? January 10th. I'm like, and that's the one thing that drives me insane about winter is the cloud cover. Everything is some sort of brown or gray outside, right? But I love the snow. I love the cold at times. You know, I like getting more variety, but it's the cloud cover. And we can thank the lakes for that, because you've heard of lake effect snow, right? That's something we talk about quite often. Well, we also have lake effect clouds. That is why we are one of the cloudiest spots, because we have lake effect clouds develop here. I lived in Wisconsin for about 3 years, and I can't tell you how much more sun we saw over there because we were on the west side of Lake Michigan. It was bitterly cold. We had numerous days where the high was like 10, but it was sunny. And that was just because we were on that side of the lake. We have, being here on the east side of Lake Michigan, also having all the other lakes around us, we have more clouds. So we're getting to that cloudiest time of the year. But I always like to think about it this way. We're getting to the cloudiest time, the coldest time of the year. We just have to make it through about 2 to 3 weeks, and then it goes up. Everything gets better. We're already getting longer days, right? We've already added on to that. We're just going to continue to add on longer days, warmer conditions eventually, more sunshine eventually too. So we'll get there eventually. I was just looking and seeing if I was getting an update. Sorry, I've got both my phones over here. But anyway, so my phone's over here because I got a notification from my school district or the school district my daughter goes to, that the buses could be delayed because of icy conditions. So keep that in mind. Also have been looking at any recent accidents. We had one on 696. Again, you can tune into TV20. Allie has a much better handle on this. I just am here to give a little bit of information. Also kind of checking to see if we have icy conditions here or there. Doesn't really look like there's anything else aside from that one at 696 and 11 Mile Road at this moment, and that's only in one direction at this moment. That's a westbound traffic because that highway's closed. Anyways, let's take a look. Kind of some better-ish news. I might be looking into this too much, but if you notice, the area of pink is getting a little smaller as our temperatures warm. That doesn't mean that, oh, you can breathe a sigh of relief. You're about to head out the door. You don't have to worry about anything. No, I would still be cautious as you head out the door. Still be prepared for areas of icy conditions this morning. If the road looks shiny, don't assume it's wet. Assume that it's ice. It could easily be just wet with water. However, I'd rather you be safe than sorry. So just make sure that you're cautious out and about as you are driving. First things to ice over will be anything that's elevated. So this, of course, includes overpasses, maybe even on-ramps or off-ramps. Also, think about it, not if you're in a car, but if you're walking, any sort of surface like a porch sometimes is elevated, a deck, that all could be ice and iced faster than any other surface that's out and about. After that, of course, elevated surfaces, it's any surface. I would be most cautious on especially roads that are curved. If you think about it, you're putting more pressure as you're taking that curve towards the outside. Say you're turning right, you're taking more pressure to the left. Easier chance for your car to slide in that situation. But just be careful out and about this morning. Biggest concern is just some slippery travel across the area. It's not down trees, down power lines. We're not looking at ice accumulations a tenth or quarter of an inch for most of us. Most of us, ice accumulations will be maybe a few hundredths of an inch. Most of us won't even get that. It's just enough though to create some slippery travel conditions. Already had Ryan Marshall, who was out in Ypsilanti today. He said that yes, there was freezing rain in that location. Also looking at other spots towards 275-96, seeing some reports of some light icy conditions. We will continue to see the weather improve. We're already seeing it. Again, we focused a lot on Ann Arbor about an hour ago. Now it's much better there. Our biggest focus now is up towards Pontiac and then also through most of Oakland County and then in northern Macomb County. This is the area now that we're looking at the freezing rain at this moment. I know you can see that purple pocket here. That would indicate snow. This is actually just the radar, which is right to the northwest of this pocket, having some issues with what's going on here. There's not snow here. The column of air would have to be all cold. We were just talking about that when you get snow versus freezing rain. It's not. We have warm air above cold air, so that's why we're looking at freezing rain this morning in pockets. For those of you that live in Pontiac, West Bloomfield, up towards Rochester Hills, I'm kind of going all over the place. Again, right now is the best chance that you're having freezing rain. If you're contemplating, well, do I leave right now? I got to get to work by 9 o'clock. If you do have the option to hold off even a half hour, conditions will be much better. Your mind may be more at ease too, not worrying about slippery travel conditions as we get throughout the rest of this morning as it warms up. So again, if you're trying to get somewhere by 9 o'clock and you live in this region, please be cautious. If you can wait a half hour, especially through Oakland County, weather will be much better, travel will be much better in about the next half hour. We're already seeing better conditions through Washtenaw County and Wayne County. Still pockets of some freezing drizzle and freezing, oh my gosh, I keep saying it wrong, freezing drizzle and then just drizzle in some of our southern counties, but not as much as what we had earlier today. So that's some good news there. So travel here should be much better along US 23, I-75, I-275 and 94 should be much better, but still be prepared for a couple of slippery spots. Our biggest concern right now is this band that's coming through. moving in from the southwest to the northeast. So I was just looking at a special weather statement that just came out. I get all these notifications on my phone to try to figure out what's going on. Oh, that would be... I'm assuming the special weather statement is still just talking about freezing rain potential. Dun dun, 2 alerts. Special weather statement. Okay, nothing new on that one. There is also a winter weather advisory in place for, in our area, it's just Sanilac County, for the freezing rain this morning with potentially up to 1/10 of an inch of ice. And that is just going to be the biggest concern. So that up there towards Port Sanilac, 1/10 of an inch of ice, that could, of course, lead, it's going to cause icy conditions driving, but that could also break off some smaller branches. So keep that in mind. Most of us, though, just a few hundredths of an inch at best. We are starting to see the moisture move in to more of St. Clair County right now, pretty much looking at this also through southeastern Lapeer County, looking at very light initially, and then it does pick up. There's kind of a band that's a little bit steadier. It's kind of hard to see when you have the different colors here between the freezing rain and the rain, but the steadiest right now, where you've got the yellow, so this stretches pretty much from Fenton and Highland down through Pontiac, and you follow this darker area here, that's where we have the steadiest rain and the steadiest freezing rain at this moment. The band itself, you'll have a slightly intense shower for not very long. It would be 10 minutes at most. But overall, looking at, again, this band rolling through, bringing freezing rain and some rain across the area. I'm getting distracted by people there. They look and then they turn around and then go the other way. But anyways, this morning, biggest concern will be slippery driving conditions across the area. I'm not worried about major power outages or anything like that as we continue to have this band roll through. Our temperatures are anywhere from 32 degrees up to 34 degrees. And the reason that is important is because a difference between 32 and 33 at the surface determines pretty much if you see freezing rain or if you see rain. This is a very pockety event. I don't think that's a real term, but what I'm saying here is you, for example, could be at 33, but your neighbor a mile away may be at 32, and they're seeing freezing rain and you're not, and there's only a mile in between you. So it's not a long distance, but we just have areas that tend to stay a little bit colder. It depends on so many different things. It depends on how much pavement is there, how many trees you have, how shaded that area normally stays during the day. Is it an open field, so it's at night it cools down more? You know, there's so many little things on the very micro level that can impact your temperature and also impact if you see freezing rain or not. Anyways, I go on those random tangents, and hopefully that helps kind of explain the situation. Most of us, though, are at above freezing. There's just some pockets that are below freezing. We're all going to continue to see warmer air come in, and that is going to, of course, warm us up. You can see right now a lot of us at a 33 or 34 degrees. We do have 36, though, in Monroe, also in Howell right now. We are going to continue to warm up today. Temperature is going to try to push 40 degrees this afternoon. We have more 40s also in our future. If you're hoping for some warmer weather, some drier weather, calmer weather, it's coming tomorrow and most of Thursday. We are looking at drier weather, temperatures into the 40s, and then we could even make it to 50 on Friday, but we are going to have rain coming in before that. Thursday into Friday, rain showers expected. If you're hoping for more snow, that is going to be here at some point either late Saturday or into early Sunday, and it does look like we'll be colder towards the second half of the week, so changes are going to happen. We're still in winter. We are going to see, of course, everything flipping and flopping back and forth. But probably the snow that you have on the ground right now, because I just checked our snowpack yesterday, most of us have less than 3 inches of snow. A lot of us even have an inch or less of snow. So that's going to go away with the warm up over the next couple of days. So a lot of your snow is going to be gone yet again. We'll be back to the brown grass before eventually we'll get hopefully another bit more snow as we get in the weekend. But right now this morning, snow is not what we're talking about. We're talking about freezing rain. This is a warm front coming over cold temperatures at the surface. So warm fronts come in on an angle like this. This is the surface. This is the warm front. They come in and eventually the warm air touches the surface, and that's when we're going to warm up. But when you have warm air above cold air at the surface, rain falls, it falls as rain, but then it touches the surface at or below freezing, and of course it freezes. So that's the biggest concern this morning, because we do have pockets that are below freezing. Our steadiest rain right now is moving just into Mount Clemens as we speak, St. Clair Shores too, and then up towards Troy, Pontiac, and Clarkston. That's where we have some of the steadiest freezing rain at this moment. Also Rochester and Sterling Heights. Sterling Heights are kind of right on the edge there between freezing rain and rain. Temperatures, again, close to the freezing mark for you. You're either at 32 or 33. Farther to the north, we're just starting to see lighter amounts. This be more so light freezing drizzle up through most of St. Clair County, northern Washtenaw County. This will continue to increase in intensity over the next about half hour. For those of you in Lapeer County, we're split. Lapeer's at 34 right now, but we are looking at colder temperatures on the east side of the county, and of course that's supporting some light freezing drizzle at least, if not more. If you're wondering what else we can expect with this system, well, let me zoom out at a little bit more of this radar. So this system is not a huge one, but of course it is bringing the winter weather across the area. It has a lot of rain back towards Milwaukee and then back just to the east of Minneapolis. You can see more snow, also showing some freezing rain, but it's definitely more so going to be snow by the time it gets to us. We are not expecting a lot of snow, but it will be enough to maybe create some slippery conditions this evening, especially north of the city of Detroit. Most of us won't see that, but this system is moving almost from west to east. There's a little bit of a northerly component to it, and what that means for us is that we are actually going to look at the warm front lifting through, which it is right now, and then we're going to be in the warm sector of this system for a majority of the time. Now it's not going to be like 60s, but we're going to be closer to 40 this afternoon. Also, most of the rain is going to stay up here just because the warm front is lifting north and it's kind of going to stall, so that's why we'll mainly keep most of the rain up here north of the city of Detroit as this moves on through. We can take a look at Futurecast. I think it does a pretty good job. Again, we've got this band coming through. Our threat for freezing rain will end by 10 o'clock at the latest, just based on current temperatures too. I will say though, we do still have some pockets that just really struggle to warm, so please be prepared for maybe a pocket of ice, but most of us will be just to wet conditions at this point. By the lunch hour, we've got widespread rain, especially north of the city of Detroit. South of the city will still keep the rain, but just won't be as heavy. This is a look at 5 o'clock, evening commute. We will have still some rain showers, but then start to transition to some snow showers, as you can see here. Now, we're not expecting a lot of snow. It'll be less than an inch of snow, and best chance for the snow will be north of the city of Detroit again. If you live south, you're not looking at it. We may see some flurries mixed in with raindrops, but overall temperatures at this point will still be above freezing, and there's not much moisture left for a majority of us. Yes, you can see a couple more showers. They are out of here by 4 a.m. tomorrow morning, and then we are looking at better travel conditions on Wednesday. Wednesday's going to be a dry day. We're looking at cloudy skies to start. We should get some sun breaks late in the day. Temperatures are going to be close to 40 degrees, if not in the low 40s. So warmer temperatures are coming. Today, it's just a mess with the conditions this morning with the freezing rain, and then the potential for light snow after about 5 o'clock, especially north later this evening. Again, this is a warm front lifting through. You can see radar continues to adjust in what's going on. Is it freezing rain? Is it rain? Temperatures across the area support both. 32 degrees in some spots, 33, 34 in other spots. I just want to make sure that you're prepared for this as you head out the door this morning, if you're taking your kids to school again, or if you're just about to leave for work. If you live in Oakland County and Macomb County and you can wait to leave, wait just a little bit longer. Conditions will be much better on the roadways. It's not a lot of ice out there, but it's just enough to create some slippery travel conditions across the area. We are starting to see a couple more lighter snow showers push, not snow showers, oh my goodness, what am I saying? Lighter rain showers and freezing rain kind of move through with this secondary band back here. So for those of you in Ann Arbor that have been able to take a breath and not having the freezing drizzle, well, we have a couple more showers that are pushing in just from the south. So along I-94, you'll start to see a couple more pockets move through. Farther to the east, though, here along I-75, that is where we're looking at rain at this moment. Temperatures in that area are closer to 36 degrees, so even farther from the freezing mark, which is some good news. If you're just joining, just tracking some light freezing rain this morning, I just wanted to make sure everyone was ready before they went and left out the door. Whether you were walking, biking, or driving this morning, it will impact everyone in that sense. Freezing rain is never fun to forecast. Thankfully, though, this time it's not a lot of freezing rain, so we're not worried about power outages this time. That's always the worst too, when you have power outages and cold temperatures, so not the case this time. Feel free to ask any of your questions too. I just have them over here where I can see them. Eddie's saying no more snow, rain better. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's winter in Michigan. We're gonna get more snow. Later this month, I was saying the outlook is to be colder than average, and we have our coldest temperatures for the entire year later this month. The average high is 32, the average low is 18. And so if we are looking at a good chance for below average temperatures, that puts us below freezing. So any sort of system that comes through, that could bring us more snow as we get later into this month. So we'll see. We'll see what we get when we continue on. All right, I'm going to do a quick check of what we've got in terms of if we have any new accidents. Looks like there's a new one on I-696 after Gratiot, but the one that was near 11 Mile has been cleared, which is good news. Oh my gosh, zooming out way too much. Driftmaster, is applying material. Interesting, so that's what it says. Driftmaster, which is one of our snowplows, MDOT snowplows, is applying material, which I'm assuming is applying either a de-icer or salt on the roadways. Thankfully, snowplows aren't needed today for plowing snow. They are needed to salt just because of the icy conditions that are out there. There was a plow that just went down US 23. Otherwise, we don't have any on the major interstates. So just be cautious out and about. I know crews have been out and about. Of course, county crews and city crews too will be out salting to hopefully make your commute to work or school safe today. Looking at, again, still more showers rolling through. Our temperatures are going to be warming up. So our threat for freezing rain is going to go down throughout this morning. A lot of us are at 32 or warmer. So that is some good news. Thankfully, we're not at 28 and we're not thinking, gosh, we have to warm 4 more degrees before we're out of this. No, we just have to get up another degree in a lot of spots. So our threat for freezing rain will really go down as this morning continues. And then we're looking at rain showers for almost the rest of the day. I say almost because there's a changeover to light snow expected after 5 o'clock, mainly north of the city of Detroit. So keep an eye on that. All right, you can see right now, looking at this band coming through where we do have rain showers moving across the area. We do have freezing rain. The pink is freezing rain. The green is rain. If you see yellow, that's just heavier rain in pockets, which we're seeing back off northwest of Howell right now. I'm trying to get more coffee in me this morning. Anyways, okay. So I want to zoom in and take a look at what we've got going on. So still looking at this heaviest band, it might be hard to tell, but the heaviest band is, if you follow this where we've got yellow, so over just north of Fenton towards Bandon, Lake Orion, Rochester, Mount Clemens, there's a band right there, and then there is like kind of a secondary band that's following this blue arrow. That's just where we have the heaviest rain and the heaviest freezing rain right now. Now it's not heavy like a severe thunderstorm, no, but that's where we're looking at the best chance for things to ice up really quickly. So for Pontiac right now, looking at that potential, also Rochester, Macomb, Lake Orion, the potential to see icy conditions quickly on any untreated surface. Now if there is salt on the road that you are driving on or sidewalk that you're walking on, you will be fine because our temperatures are close to the freezing mark. Salt works perfectly when our temperatures are at the freezing mark or just a degree or two below it. So because we're at the freezing mark, the salt's going to work great and limit the ice development out there. But if you notice, I don't really see salt. Things look shiny. It could easily be ice rather than water. Of course, water can look shiny, but it could also be ice, especially because of what's coming through right now. Everything is so little. It's harder to tell if it's ice or water because the ground is probably wet rather than being a puddle. Puddles, of course, you can see the raindrops on there, but if it's not that much, it's harder to see. Is it a raindrop? Is that a puddle? Is that wet? Or is that ice? Just treat everything to potentially be ice, and then you'll be safer this morning. Better safe than sorry, right? That's the saying. But thankfully, we're starting to see it let up a bit, though, along 96 through Novi, 696 through Southfield. But we do have a couple more rain showers farther to the south, southern Wayne County right now near the airport. There are some pockets of some freezing rain still through Washtenaw County, and that just indicates there are still pockets that temperatures are below freezing right now. We will have fewer and fewer of these pockets before they completely go away by the time we get later into this morning, but still, just be prepared for a few spots. of some freezing rain. I know you see some blue here again. It's reporting snow. It's reporting snow. It's not the case. This is just the radar really struggling what we've got going on. It's only rain or freezing rain this morning. We're not seeing snow this morning because this is a warm front lifting through, and we have warm air above colder air, warm air above freezing. So just looking at that. We are starting to see this stretch a little farther off towards the northeast. So Algonac, Marine City, St. Clair, starting to see more of this light freezing rain rolling through. So keep an eye on that. Clyde, and eventually up here towards Port Sanilac. This is the area we'll watch this morning for potentially ice accumulations up to 1/10 of an inch. So Sanilac County, Sandusky, Elk, a chance to see that. Everyone else, it's a few hundredths of an inch at best. So not looking at widespread freezing rain for this morning. But we are looking at some areas of ice accumulation so minimal that, again, not worried about power outages. It's slippery driving conditions. I'll loop this through so you're able to see. This is just the last hour. So this band does move pretty quickly in an hour's time. So by the time we get to an hour, pretty much all this should be, it will be out of Oakland County and Macomb County. However, there are still a couple of lighter showers farther off to the south, as you can see here. But as we continue throughout this morning too, again, our temperatures will be climbing above the freezing mark, and we will all switch to rain showers as the morning continues on. But we are looking at light freezing rain this morning and then rain as well. Be prepared for some slippery driving conditions out and about. Someone asked if school cancellations tomorrow to icy road conditions. No. Nope. I would not be worried. And I know you said specifically Clarkston. No, I would not be worried about road conditions tomorrow. Temperatures tonight are going to hover close to the freezing mark. And then also the precipitation is going to be done very early in the morning. And I laughed because I hate saying precipitation, but it is because we're going to see some rain and some snow tonight. Minimal to no accumulation, and then also everything ends so early in the morning that if there were any slippery spots, road crews have plenty of time to take care of it. I don't expect travel concerns tomorrow. I don't expect closures tomorrow as well. If you're wondering, are we looking at any closures in our future? I don't see it this week. Our next storm system, which comes in Thursday, that's mainly going to be a rain one, Thursday into Friday, and then the next one after that, which they could be coupled. Saturday into Sunday will be our next chance for snow, but of course that falls on the weekend. So if you're hoping for some time off this week, it's not going to happen because of the weather. So sorry. But yeah, if you're worried about icy conditions, don't worry about that. You're welcome, Michelle. Yeah, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm only here to help. I'm not here to lecture. I'm here with you this morning. If you're having your cup of coffee too, I'm here joining you, just helping you get out the door. Want you to be safe. Best advice this morning is just make sure if you can wait a little bit longer, wait a little longer before you leave. If you have to leave, just treat any wet surface as if it were ice and not just wet. It's very patchy with icy conditions this morning, but it doesn't take much to create slippery and poor travel conditions across the area, so please keep an eye on that. But yes. All right, let's take a look at temperatures. Let's check on what we've got going on right now. Let's start off with this map. Ooh, and we've got little icons, what's going on. So yeah, we've got a lot going on in this map, but the biggest thing, I want you to take a look at the numbers first. A majority of our main stations are reporting 33 to up to 36 degrees, all above freezing right now. The thing is, though, there are pockets of areas that are below freezing at this moment, and I'm going to pull up my phone again. You're going to hear me just say some cities, just because I don't want you to be like, oh, great, we're all above freezing. We don't have to worry about this anymore. No, there are still areas that are below freezing. Let me have this refresh just a bit. There we go. So still, in Rochester, for example, reporting 32. The other station that's closer to Sylvan Lake near Pontiac, that's also at 32. Also Orchard Lake at 32 right now, reporting that. We're seeing 32 degrees being reported still in Romeo. And then let me travel where we've got the pink on here. 33 in Memphis, though, so that's reporting that. If you live towards Port Huron, we are looking at a mixture of temperatures, actually both up a degree now. So one station earlier was reporting 31, the other one was 33. Now we're looking at 32 west of Port Huron, and then 34 closer to the river there. So that would support mainly rain, which is some great news, great to see there. and not freezing rain. Back in locations, Novi's still reporting 32, but thankfully the precipitation has ended at the moment. However, there's still going to be pockets of maybe some lighter showers, as you can see here, still through Wayne County and even Washtenaw County. Out towards Ann Arbor, we've got one station reporting 32, the other one reporting 34. Airport right now reporting 34, north up towards Westland 35. So again, we've got a wide range of temperatures. City of Detroit 34, Grosse Pointe though 33. So again, all very close to the freezing mark, but a majority of us now are above the freezing mark. Still though, be prepared for just a couple areas of some ice, but we will continue to see improving conditions as this morning goes on. I only expect things to get better and better this morning. We're not looking at it getting worse and worse, which hopefully makes you feel a little calmer. All right, as we take a look here, looping this overall, you can see this band stretches from Canada, actually from Lake Erie all the way to the west side of the state. We are looking at a mixture of rain and freezing rain as this moves on through. The leading edge, you have the best chance for the freezing rain, but we've been consistently seeing kind of this pocket, at least for us here in Southeast Michigan, right in the middle of freezing rain, which is right now through Oakland County. Now, there's a couple reasons for this. One main thing is we actually have a ridge here. It's a moraine. For those of you that can take your mind all the way back towards like elementary school and when you learned about the glaciers and the shape of Michigan, well, we tend to have a slightly more mountainous, it's not very mountainous, but a ridge here. If you think about it, if you drive out towards Brighton, if you're going to East Lansing or something like that, it gets a little bit hillier compared to what you would see in the city of Detroit. Around the city of Detroit, it's very flat. So because it's a little bit hillier here, temperatures can be a little bit colder with just the elevation. So that's why one of the reasons why we tend to not only have freezing rain going on right now, but this also tends to be one of the spots that has a little bit more snow more often than not. Just because of that ridge there, especially when a storm comes in a certain way and we've got this easterly wind, you can have a little bit more snow there. Anyways, that's one of the reasons. The other reason is just because there's also less influence from the lakes too. Over here we tend to stay just a little bit warmer. There's also a higher population density, a lot more pavement on the ground. That could also keep it warmer over there. Anyways, that just kind of explains a little bit of our little niche climates that go on here in Southeast Michigan. But we are looking at, again, freezing rain this morning, almost pushing north of M59. We're almost starting to see that end there, so conditions will improve. If you have to get somewhere by 9 o'clock and you live here, though, where we have pink, if you could wait a half hour, it'll be better. We should have better conditions now through a majority of our travel across the area, so 696, 96 better. You will run into some rain showers. As you can see, we've had some fill in here of some rain showers now south of the city of Detroit, and then back all the way towards 275, the Southfield Freeway, even farther downriver, kind of looking at some rain showers. Lighter rain showers now through Ann Arbor too, but not much back off farther to the south. I'm going to loop this here. I'm going to add NALRAD, which kind of incorporates some other ones. So see, we still have moisture. We're still going to actually have showers throughout the day today, but the threat for freezing rain will end in about an hour, which is some good news. And we just switched to rain showers all the way through 5 o'clock tonight. I'll actually take a look at that right now before we zoom in a little closer. Again, this is the system overall. We'll switch to rain. Heavier rain will be north of the city of Detroit, lighter rain farther to the south. By 5 o'clock, though, that's when we'll have cold air start to filter in. That'll bring a chance for some light snow showers, especially north of the city of Detroit. Accumulation will be little to none, so not too worried about it, but the timing yet again, because the light snow comes through between 5 and 9 p.m. We've got a lot of people, of course, if your kids have any activities or if you're coming home from work around this time, still could be some slippery conditions out there, especially north of the city of Detroit. Pretty much south of Detroit or west will be fine, looking at quieter conditions, but light rain showers continuing through the evening, and you can even see that last push overnight. But everything is done, at least on this model, showing that everything is done by 5 a.m. Likely we'll have it even done earlier than that, and then we'll get back to drier conditions, so I don't expect any problems tomorrow. Eddie asking about snow, if I think we'll get much snow. Well, you know, we did have quite a bit of snow in November and December this year, and then we had the warm stretch for the final 2 weeks of December, and then now we're kind of getting back to it. I definitely think, based on being a La Nina winter, we have that would promote having more snow, because what it kind of, when it sets it up, is we have more storms that tend to come over us, and depending on our temperature, of course, that could mean snow or rain, but we have a higher chance of having more precipitation, which could be more snow. I definitely don't think we're done with it. It's too early, way too early. We're just starting January. You know, we usually get some good snow January into February, and then we get those annoying snowstorms that still keep going on through late March and sometimes April. Yeah, I love it. It's a love-hate. I love the weather, but sometimes I'm like, let's move on. Time for spring, time for summer, right? Like a true Michigander, right? But yeah, so that's what we're looking at. I want to get back to radar and get you through the rest of this morning. Hopefully you're having a good day today. I know it's just starting for a lot of us, but day 2 for many, heading back to work. I don't know, this is day 5 for me at this point, but that's okay. But as we take a look at what's going on, we have still some freezing rain is the biggest concern. I mean, this right here shows a good example of how pockety everything is, because some of us are at 32, some of us are at 34 degrees, you know, so temperatures really impact this. But we are looking at freezing rain right now, Rochester, Lake Orion, and then even farther to the north here through St. Clair County right now. And then we'll continue to see that push even farther to the north, where it hasn't really pushed in just yet up towards Sanilac County. Overall accumulation is going to be just a few hundredths of an inch. I'm not worried about, again, power outages. That's what we can have with freezing rain, but we're not worried about that. It's the travel, it's the slippery driving conditions, delays on buses, whether it be a school bus or a public transport bus. Just be prepared for things to maybe be a little bit slower today as you're heading out the door this morning. Please don't be in a rush to get anywhere. Treat every surface, every wet surface, as if it's ice rather than water, just so that you don't slip down your stairs, or you know, you don't slide in your car. If you treat everything as if it's ice, you're a little bit more cautious. You might test that step before you step down so you don't fall, or you might be able to travel a little bit slower out there, but safer for the most part. We'll continue to see our temperatures warm. Most of us are above freezing now, but there are still pockets that are at the freezing mark. We will transition to just rain showers. Honestly, in about the next hour, there will still be a couple pockets that'll be below freezing, but for a majority of us, our threat pretty much ends after 10 a.m. for the freezing rain. If you're thinking, what are we talking about freezing rain? I'm not seeing anything. There's a lot of us that have had a break now. So this pretty much includes this big stretch here from St. Clair Shores, Harper Woods, all the way back towards Brighton. We're not looking at anything coming through at this moment, but we have a few more lighter showers that have developed through Wayne County and Washtenaw County that are moving to the north. So you're not done, but the good news is, and you can even tell here, a lot more green than pink. That's because in this region where we did have temperatures below freezing about an hour ago, the warmer air has moved in, so this will mainly be light rain showers. So some good conditions, again, as the morning continues on. We are starting to see the freezing rain end now in Pontiac, which is great to see too, but still the worst right now is northeastern Oakland County, northern Macomb County, most of St. Clair County, and very eastern Lapeer County. So this is the area of focus at the moment in the because of freezing rain. It's not going to be a lot, but it's enough to create some slippery conditions. If you take I-69 to wherever you're going, even I-94 towards Port Huron, there could be pockets of some icy spots too, as we continue throughout the rest of this morning. Again, freezing rain leads to ice. It falls as rain, so don't let it looking like it's raining fool you too. That's one of the things that can happen. You're like, it's raining and the road looks wet. Well, that could be, it's raining and the road is icy because of it. So please just be cautious out and about. Sorry, just reading more comments over here. I'll look at my other thing. I've got all sorts of sources. I can see you guys. I can see what you're saying over here. And then on my phone, just checking anything temperature-wise. There's still a couple stations. I'm looking at this map. It's hard to see. So the map I show you with the temperatures has like 12 cities on it. I have a map that has like 100 cities. That's probably over-exaggerating. But just to be able to see kind of temperature-wise. It looks like we have an incident. Again, this could be weather related. It could also not be weather related. There's a crash on westbound I-94 after Mount Elliott, near the city of Detroit, in the city of Detroit. So looking at that, it looks like the two that were on I-96 are no longer a problem. The great news is I don't have a lot of things being reported on here about widespread accidents. So that's some good news. Because you never know. With freezing rain, honestly, it does not take much to make it pretty treacherous to travel out and about. So hopefully, again, if you're going to leave right now, as it's 9 o'clock, or if you're going to leave in a half hour to get somewhere by 10, conditions are pretty good except for this area that we're looking at right now. And this is freezing rain, and it's moving to the northeast. So a majority of southeast Michigan has already gotten through this. If you live south of Pontiac, and down towards the city of Detroit, we've gotten through pretty much our threat for freezing rain, which is great. Yes, there are still a couple of lighter showers rolling through, and yes, there are still a couple of pockets below freezing, or right at freezing, I should say, not even below freezing. I really haven't seen any 30 or 31 degree temperatures anymore, but there will still be just a couple pockets that could create some slippery conditions through this morning, but I expect conditions to improve. We are going to get warmer throughout this morning. We are going to try to make a run for the 40s today, so that will get better. As we continue through the morning. Sorry, just reading a comment. But yeah, if you're just joining this morning, just tracking light freezing rain moving through Metro Detroit, and as it continues to move to the north. I'm going to continue to track this just a little bit longer, but now that it's 9 o'clock, we're pretty much through the thick of our morning commute, which is some good news. So if you don't have to go anywhere, you're fine. We're not worried about power outages because of this freezing rain. But otherwise, we are going to be looking at improving conditions. If you do have to get to somewhere by 10 o'clock, maybe be prepared for some light conditions, light icing conditions. But overall, the biggest concern for the remainder of this morning will be north up towards Sanilac County, St. Clair County, as well as, of course, you can still see a bit longer here through Oakland and Macomb counties, but eventually it'll get better. We have had reports of icy conditions. I had a notification from my daughter's school saying that buses could be delayed because of the conditions. Of course, by this point, now that it's 9 o'clock, a lot of schools are in session. So hopefully your kids got there safely this morning, and things, again, will just continue to improve. I'll take one more look at Futurecast and show you what you can see. Again, we're all switching to rain showers as we continue through this morning. By the lunch hour, we have rain, especially north of the city of Detroit, where it will be heavier. South of the city, it will be lighter. As we get towards the afternoon, we still keep the heavier rain north, but then we do transition to some snow showers at some point as colder air starts to filter in. Snowfall will be minimal to nothing. However, the timing with the snow between 5 and 9 p.m., it's just like this morning in the fact that it could be just enough to create some slippery travel conditions across the area. The one thing, though, is we have had a lot of rain, or by this point we'll have had a lot of rain throughout the day. There'll be a lot of water on the ground, so those snowflakes will actually hopefully melt, at least the initial round. So that could hopefully delay and at least get us past the evening commute before we could see some minor accumulation of snow to create slippery conditions. We'll have a few more showers overnight tonight. They'll end in the early morning hours, so I don't expect any problems for tomorrow morning's commute. And then we do get warmer. We have 40s in our future, upper 40s even on Thursday. We have another storm coming in Thursday that's going to bring us rain Thursday evening into Thursday night, and then we look at warm temperatures on Friday to start, and then temperatures drop. Our next chance for snow, aside from this evening, won't be until probably late Saturday into Sunday. So if you're looking at that, there should be no reason why the weather cancels anything this week. So hopefully that brings a wave of calm to your mind, or if you were hoping to have a day off, well, you can't blame the weather. But yeah, again, conditions will continue to improve as we continue throughout this morning. I'll leave up the radar looping through so you're able to see this as it continues to go on through. We've got freezing rain still rolling through this morning, but a lot of us just looking at rain showers. Hopefully I helped you get out the door this morning. Hopefully I got you prepared, prevented you from taking a step down your stairs and slipping and falling, because no one ever wants that. But that is what we're looking at this morning, and I will leave this up here for a little bit longer. But now that we've made it through the morning commute, should be pretty good for the rest of the morning. Again, improving conditions the rest of the morning. I will keep you updated all the way through the noon show today. Tune in to 7 News Detroit at noon, and then Dave will be in tonight and keep you help you, what am I trying to say? Help you plan if you are going anywhere or this evening. Oh my gosh. See, this is why I need to step off. I need to have some coffee to get things connecting in my brain, right? What time of day is it? What day is it? Even I don't even know. But Dave will be in tonight. He'll be tracking the snow. Again, minimal to no accumulation expected, which is some good news there. This ice accumulation just creating some slippery conditions, so we could get up to 1/10 of an inch up into Sanilac County as this goes on, but I do expect conditions to improve as we move through this evening. You can keep your questions coming. Otherwise, I will see you at noon on 7 News Detroit. Have a good one, everyone.